a hero is the person that does the right thing when the right thing is not the easy thing to do.
There are no absolutes in training. There is only why, based off of the best science at the time. That was what Arnold did. That was what Stallone did. The fitness industry plays to the ignorance of the people. We coach everyone to a single set to momentary muscular failure with precision technique.
First question.
Okay.
My mom, in her 60s,
Okay.
she wants to gain lean muscle mass.
Is there another kind?
Apparently not. And she doesn't have access to you.
Okay.
She's an hour and a half away.
Okay.
She does have access to a gym membership
Okay.
and goes to the gym for various classes, Pilates and kind of yoga type things.
Okay, yeah.
If she wants to do the kinds of things that you do with your clients,
Okay.
but she doesn't have access to you, what can she do?
I mean, there's a handful of answers there. I mean, first, real quick, let's step back into your question. There's this thing where people say gain lean muscle mass. There's only muscle is lean by definition. There's no fat muscle mass. There's only lean muscle mass. So like people, I think, and it was a marketing thing where people think that like there's like the muscle mass that's lean that makes you look leaner, and then there's like the other muscle mass that men and powerlifters and football players have that makes you look bigger. And it's just you have a muscle origin insertion, and if it can get bigger or it can get smaller. If it gets bigger, it has only gained contractile tissue, and so by virtue it's lean. But that's, you know, the side thing we'll say it. Two, your mom's answer. The first thing is I would, without knowing her completely, so say someone's listening to this without knowing anything, I would probably jump on the interwebs and look up a guy named Drew Bay and another guy named Jay Vincent, who is one of my friends. And they have a great social media presence, and they give like, so with Drew, she could sign up for his online community where he has videos on how to do all of the exercises for your, again, this is me not being able to recommend, I can't see her, I don't know her injury profile, any of that. Probably the guy to go to would be, she would go online, you're gonna wanna go to Drew Bay's hit list, it's $20 a month. She could even just sign up for 1 month, do a 1 month time. In there, he has a catalog of all of the and this guy is a fanatic. I've stolen so much as far as like, when you hear us say 2 points of contact after a lift, I stole that from him. This guy is a safety fanatic. If it was a trainer, without being able to be there to see her and know her limits and all of that and her injury profile, my first thing goes to safety. So Drew probably gives the best online instruction I can find on how to do the exercises safely. Now, I'm gonna give some general recommendations here. If I was to talk to your mother on the phone and say, she's like, I'm not even gonna do that, I would say, ma'am, go and find an upper body machine that is a push, find a machine that is a pull, and find a leg machine. Ideally a leg press or a hack squat or something that is not just an extension or a leg extension or a leg curl. It uses all of the muscles of the hips. And then I would have her do the exercise, start with a light weight to find her range of motion. So she starts to say she puts 10 pounds on it, just so she has something to resist the hits. And then pick a range of motion, like just start moving the weight, the machine that's gonna be fixed, where you can feel your muscles working, but it's zero pain. And that would be your range of motion. And then I would slowly put more weight on there and I would have you move it, I would have your mom move it at 5 to 10 seconds up and 5 to 10 seconds down, breathing freely the entire time. Because with older people, we have less hydration in the muscles and in the connective tissue. They become more thick and more resistant to injury, but they also become more dried out and more fibrotic, and becomes, when they get hurt, they're harder to heal because they have less fluid in them and less blood supply and all of that stuff. So I would tell your mom. So what the point of saying that was to say, we want to minimize the force peaks in the muscles. Like you did that leg press, we had a real flow eccentric, and then we got a nice pause in the stretch, and then we blasted out. High peak forces on the tissue. You're young, you're supple, you can handle that. You have someone watching you. This is someone I was the one watching them. I would have her move the movement through a range of motion that is pain-free, using a 5 to 10 second cadence up, with a slight pause, and then a 5 to 10 second cadence down, with a slight pause, and I would keep it the whole time and breathe freely. And then your mom needs to find a weight on the machine that allows her to and be honest, your mom's not gonna go to failure, to get a nice burn to where she feels like, oh, I could only do maybe one more. And then that's the weight she needs to do. And then she just, whenever that one where I can only do, and then she needs to write down. So I did my chest press today, 5 to 10 seconds up, 5 to 10 seconds down. She needs to write the weight and how many reps she did. It will not be like you session to session. And she needs to do that with her chest press, her pull, and her leg exercise. It will not be like you session to session, and maybe, but without me being there, I can't guarantee that. Probably will not be like you session to session, she gets stronger. But there will come a day where, say she did on her leg press, she did say 60 pounds for 8 reps. And she's gonna get to 8 and it's gonna still feel really easy. She needs to just keep going until she gets 10 or 11 or 12. And then when she can do 12 reps, she needs to go up to the next pin on the selectorized machine and do as many as she can there. And we wanna keep your mom between a 6 to 12, 6 to 10, somewhere in their rep range. The reason 6 to 10, and even really 4 to 10, because your mom has older joints. We want to minimize the opening and closing of her joints. We want to minimize peak forces on the joint. And again, this is like nothing I do in the gym with people, because I can see them and I can learn their limits where to push them more. But for your mom, not being able to see her and know her limits, we want to safety is our primary concern. Strength training is maybe the greatest intervention someone in your mother's age can have. Undo all the yoga and Pilates bullshit and actually make her better. And so the last thing we need, is her getting hurt. Even if she strength trains at a 30% efficacy, that is still so profoundly good for her that I don't care about progress or gains. I care about her getting and enjoying what she's doing. And then she does 1 or 2 sets at each of those exercises, writes her weights down. With your mom being a beginner, I'd probably have her do 2 sets. First couple workouts, maybe even 3, just because so she can get a feel for the movement. But after that, she wants to settle into a 1 to 2 sets of the exercise. And I'd have her go probably like a Monday, Thursday, and a push. And I'd have her do 2 different workouts. I would go it depends on what the machines have. So if she has to do the same one over and over, that's fine. But I would if she did a horizontal pull, like a chest row, the next time I'd want her doing a pull down. If she did a flat machine press, I'd want her doing a shoulder press or an incline machine press. If she did a leg press, I would want her doing like a hip squat or something like that. Again, it's whatever she has access to, it's fine. And then move nice and slow, 5 to 10 seconds each way, nice controlled turnarounds. And then when she thinks she can't get 1 more rep, she needs to set the weight down, record it. And then the next time try to get that number again or beat that number, which she should be able to. And a general thing, if something hurts, and again, I'm not there, so I can't tell you, but if something hurts that is not the muscle burning and hurting, stop immediately and consult. And this is the real truth also of it, is that she needs to get someone. Me, that's just because you don't have Michael Jordan on your team doesn't mean that you're not happy with Charles Barkley or Clyde Drexler or even John Smith, the dude who just comes out and takes fouls. Having someone there to give her structure and all of that, if she can afford it, would be great. Again, I would check out Drew Bay's hit list. I would check out Jay Vincent's YouTube. Those would be my recommendations to your mother without being able to be there and see her and all of that.
Great. And when you said 1 to 10, 1 to 2 sets, you mean 1 to 2 sets of
4 to 12 repetitions, yes.
Of each of those 3 exercises. Yep. Okay. And then when you said if you did a horizontal, you want to do a pull down.
Yeah, vertical.
Yeah. Okay. So she can, if in a perfect world, if she has access to every machine in the world, she'd be able to find those, have those names.
Most gyms should have like a chest row and then a pull down, and they should have a seated shoulder press and a machine chest press. And then the leg press can be the same. At the end of the day, leg stuff, it's just you just want something that's gonna work all that musculature at one time.
Acro yoga.
Oh my God.
So, tell me about acro yoga.
I actually have clients that are friends with the guy who invented acro yoga, and so this gets to a bigger concept in training. We talk about the gym, which is you have exercise an exercise is physical activity that does not reliably and consistently trigger the body's adaptive response. And then you have training, which is physical activity, which does reliably trigger the body's adaptive response to improve its physical capabilities. Acro yoga is a lot like jiu-jitsu or ballroom dance or other things, in that it is an activity that you do solely for the sake of the enjoyment and getting better of that activity. The problem, not really the problem, but where for me as a trainer, the thing that makes me roll my eyes and cuss about it is that you get a woman, a middle-aged woman, like generally it's a middle-aged white woman, that goes and is like, I want to start working out. And they're like, well, I'm not going to do that stuff over there. That's the guy stuff. I'm not going to do the squats and the deadlifts and the overhead presses and all of that. What I am going to do is go try to find something that is like a fitness thing for me. They think they're a unique, special snowflake, and that somehow the laws of biology and adaptation don't apply to them. And so then they go and they do this. They do spin classes. They do acro. I had one client who did a thing called Pilates. It was like an explosive version of Pilates. It was crazy. And they do these things that they think the activity is going to give them what they want. So like what they really want is to be leaner, stronger, more resistant to injury, and to feel better and have more energy. And so they think that by doing yoga or Pilates or acro yoga or jiu-jitsu, because these components are a part of them, they will instill them, our bar method, they will instill these adaptations on them, but they don't. The people that you see that are robust in these physical adaptations that you admire, that you see do these things, did not get developed doing these things. So what will be hard, and the clients I have that did it, they never had this mindset. So I'm not talking about them. They actually, like when one of them wanted to spin the husband on their legs, she was like, I have to start doing more leg stuff. She would never let me train her legs. So she's like, it's like legs every other day for me and push it hard. She understood that I have to train my body to be able to do this, because they just enjoyed it. It was like cool. They didn't do it for any kind of physical practice. They actually just enjoyed the activity, which if you're doing it because you just enjoy the activity, I'm 100% big fan. It's great. But when you try to do it as part of a fitness improvement protocol, it's just like, okay, what adaptation is it training? Who the fuck knows? You get twirled on some person's feet and spun around caught. So you have to already have the adaptation going into it. You already have to have a certain level of intermuscular coordination, base core strength, proprioceptive awareness, and joint stability. Like, you're not going to develop those things in it. No, you're going to get hurt if you don't have them. So you need to have all those things going into it. So who knows what adaptation is training? How are you going to progressively overload the adaptation, the dosing of it? You're not going to. You do the acro, and it's like this, not just acro yoga. Acro yoga is just a sub-in bar class, yoga class, Pilates. They have regressions and progressions, but like at my gym, I can load your leg press up by a half a pound a session if need be to dose the stress response. So they have ways to get you to be able to partake in the activity, but the activity is not designed to build any kind of physiological response to the activity. So how are you going to dose the stress response with the acro yoga? Are you going to go do 6 minutes on day 1 and then 7 minutes on day 2, 8 minutes on day 3? So I mean that's so it is an activity that does not reliably trigger the body's adaptive response. There's no adaptation you're training when you do acro yoga, other than the improvement of your acro yoga skills. If you do not come in already with a robust physical state going into it with prerequisite intramuscular coordination, core stability, joint stability, and proprioceptive awareness, you're probably going to get hurt doing it. And then 2, there's no way to dose it. And this is all for people that use it as a physical protocol, like trying to get leaner, stronger, fitter from it. And this, again, acro yoga could be set in for bar method, for Pilates, for yoga, for all these activities. And so, yeah. So that's when I think about it from a how does it make a human better thing. If you enjoy it, and this is the thing, if you enjoy any of those things I mentioned, and you understand that you're paying to do those things, but you're not going to be getting any kind of physical improvement out of them, you just are paying to do them for enjoyment, then I'm supportive. where you see me go, ah, or make faces is because I grew up poor, so money means something to me. And so when I see people that pay a couple $100s a month to go do a class, like Barry's Boot Camp or the Bar Method or Acro Yoga or Pyro Bodies, or there's one over here that is like they hang from a rope yoga thing and they spin, and it's like, okay, as long as you realize that's not going to build muscle on you, which is not going to raise your metabolic rate, which is not going to make you leaner, it's not going to make your joints more robust, it's actually going to exhaust that's the big difference. Correct training builds up and edifies the physical capabilities. Other activities degrade them. So you need to do your training to build your capacity. And that could be boxing. Like people are like, I need to get in shape once. Boxing is a terrible way to get in shape. It's super hard on the joints. If you spar, you're gonna get smacked in the head, which is not good for humans, head trauma. It's body positions. You're gonna get overuse and repetitive, which is not a problem. If you enjoy boxing, do it. But do boxing for boxing's sake or self-defense or whatever. Do not do boxing to get in shape. And I would say the same thing with acro yoga. If you're doing acro yoga, do acro yoga because you enjoy it and you have some connection with your instructor or the people in the class, or you find it fun. Don't do acro yoga to try to get in better shape, to try to be fitter, stronger, leaner, more flexible. It's just not the way to do it. There's many other ways.
Is it safe to say that a lot of times these people that come up with these wacky sidecar activities got in shape the regular way, and then after they got in shape, then they came up with these things?
Oh, 100%. Like that's almost that is always the thing, because this is what no one likes to hear, because everyone knows a brother's, cousin's, uncle's, niece's mailman that went and did acro yoga and was 400 pounds. And then when he got done doing acro yoga, he freaking lost, he was shredded out of his mind. Everyone knows someone, everything is our bar class, or they started jogging, or they started doing whatever. And so there are always those mythological stories amongst us of those kind of things. The reality is that this is not complicated stuff. We understand the biology of adaptation. We understand the biomechanics of how to safely and effectively move the body in a loadable way. And we understand correct training. Like, it doesn't have to be. So yes, a lot of these people, they got into shape with very traditional methods, and then they try to come, like a famous one is a trainer in town. His name was Michael Scott, and he had his own even kettlebell certification. And he had a kettlebell gym, and he touted kettlebells. And this guy was a Navy, he got found out as a fake, but he was in the military. He never was a Navy SEAL, but he was in the military. So he was in the military, he went through boot camp, he lifted weights, and then when he got out in the world to try to sell fitness, suddenly he became kettlebells. I was a scrawny kid, and then kettlebells blew me up. And to this point, remember Bowflex? Did you ever see that thing?
Definitely.
One of the gyms I trained at when I was younger, one of the models from the Bowflex commercial worked out there. And we were like, dude, you don't really use that thing, dude. And he's like, actually, no, I don't. The only time I ever use one is when I'm on set filming a commercial. He trains at Gold Gym in Gresham, or this was early 2000s he did. And he's like, no, I go out and deadlift over press and bent over row, and I train like you have to. There's only Louis Simmons said this. There are two ways in the world to train: the right way and the wrong way. That's all there is. And there is a whole bunch of stuff that are avoiding people doing hard work. And one of my favorite quotes is by a powerlifter named Jim Wendler, and he said, "The unwillingness of fat, sick, skinny people to do what is required to get strong and healthy and fit has forced the fitness industry to make a bunch of bullshit up because they just won't put in the hard work."
What is a hero to you?
A hero is the person that does the right thing when the right thing is not the easy thing to do. My grandmother was one of the biggest heroes I ever had in my life, and she had 9 children and an abusive husband. And she got up every day and did everything she could to make sure that those 9 kids had everything they needed to the best of her capabilities, from a food and shelter and all that, and that they knew they were loved. Like that was, that you never questioned my aunts and uncles if they knew they were loved. And in spite of her abusive husband being horrible and awful to her, she got up every day and tried to be an active, positive contributor to her marriage and show her husband that he was loved and taken care of in spite of how bad he treated her. He eventually left her. She ran retirement homes in her later part of her life, and she wanted every person there to know that she cared about them and all of that. Another one of my heroes, Muhammad Ali, when he stood away from, when he didn't go to war. You know, at the time, Elvis was at war, and they had him in like a retreat, like really fancy place. He never saw combat or any of that. Like, it would have been so much easier for Muhammad Ali to go to war and fight, and it would have been like, oh, look at our guy. And it was very hard, especially for a black man in that time in American history, to be like, nope, not gonna do it. And they took his title from him. They took 3 years in his prime from him. And then, you know, but yeah, I think a hero is someone who does a hard thing. Hard thing's not easy to do. And that can be at any age. And I think every person in every situation is capable of potentially being a hero. Like the father that wakes up at 3 a.m. to go and work, to start two of his jobs that day and works till, 10 o'clock at night to put food on the table for their kids, or the mother, like my wife. My wife is a hero. My wife is the way she takes care of our boys, and she wakes up and makes me breakfast, and the love and the endless love and compassion. It's not easy to do that all the time. You have 2 toddlers running around the house. Yeah, so I think to me, a hero does the hard thing with the hard things I do, and also doesn't let themselves be limited by their own doubt. They constantly are striving to be the best version of themselves, be a better version of themselves. And yeah, and so in that, I think we all have a hero inside of us.